Imagine for a moment that you're in your 20s, you're doing great in your career, you're getting promotion after promotion, and things are looking pretty darn bright. Then comes a fall that results in sustaining a TBI or traumatic brain injury, and you are told that you only have a 30% chance of surviving the injury. Your brain's not functioning properly, and your face is paralyzed, and you suffer a stroke literally from laughing. That is not a joke. How on earth do you come back from that, much less find positivity and joy in your life and work? I mean, I'm thinking more than a few of us would just downright sit down and enjoy a pity party and say several times, why me? Why me? Right? Wait until you meet my guest on Because I Can't Live podcast today. Her name is Trinity Luzetter, and she has been through all of this and so much more. And the thing is, she didn't give up, and she didn't dive into a pity party. With her absolute belief that her thoughts control her future, she has lived her life with hope and is one of the most positive people I've ever met. Listen in as Trinity and I talk about business, pre-sales, positivity, and 9,000 scrunchies. Let's go. Trinity, I am so excited that you are here on today's podcast because you ooze with positivity and you've been through some massively hard things. And I want to just dive in. How do you stay so positive with everything? So will you tell everybody a little bit about your backstory? And then I have some specific questions to ask you just to know how you do this and you show up constantly in such a positive way.
Well, I am 31 years old. I'm currently in Florida. I started my business only a year ago. So it's been a little bit over a year, about 4 months. I worked in corporates. I was able to move up the ladder kind of quickly. I was promoted 3 times within 4 years. But prior to that, the whole way that I basically came about positive thinking is I had an accident back in 2016. In 2016, I had a pretty bad fall. That fall resulted in a traumatic brain injury. I had what's called a subarachnoid brain hemorrhage. Whenever I had that whole experience really molded pretty much how I am today. Because I'm not going to say, that I've been like a ray of sunshine my whole life, right? But sometimes in life, these really hard things happen to us, and it's for a higher reason. And at that time, whenever I had my brain injury, I remember it was about a month before my brain really began to function again. When I say function, I mean I couldn't walk, I couldn't talk. There were things I just could not do.
This was like really, really bad. I was just trying to figure what, because there's all different types of brain trauma out there, but you couldn't walk.
It was bad. Yeah. They actually had told me that my chance of survival was 1/3 at that point in time. So I had suffered from facial paralysis. So the left side of my face didn't move at all. And as, time went on, you basically just sleep a lot. Anybody that's had a head injury knows you sleep. That's basically all you can do. It's how your brain heals. But then when I started to kind of become more aware of little things, I realized I couldn't smile. There were things that, mentally I was like, wow, I can't do these things anymore. And I'll never forget, because we ended up going back to the trauma center and I had a doctor and I asked her, do you think my chances of my face, is this going to get better with time? And she was like, I can't tell you it is. And I can't tell you it isn't. It is what it is, basically. But then I also had to go see an ear, nose, and throat doctor. So whenever I went to see him, he changed everything, because when I went to see him, he was like, oh, your paralysis is very partial. He's like, this is going to get better. This is partial and you're going to heal. And hearing those words just gave me a hope that I did not have. And sometimes that's all you need, is just that hope and faith. And hearing that from a doctor's perspective at that point in time, really that's all I needed. And not even, I kid you not, 2 weeks later, I was laying in bed. I woke up and I was like, my face hurts. I could feel it. And I was like, it hurts. And I was upset because my face hurt. But then I realized, wait a second, I can feel my face and I could not feel it before. So I remember I ran to the bathroom and I forced a smile on my face. And I just started crying. It was like just
Oh,
insane. Like this feeling I always say that's the hardest thing I've ever gone through. And the most minimal thing made me so happy to just be like, I can do this again. And I mean, it was bad. I surrounded myself with really positive people. I had family, I had friends, but even that was hard because when you have an injury like that, you can't have a lot of stimulation with your brain. So I remember my best friends were over one time and they made me laugh, and I had a stroke from laughing.
oh
And
my
they were,
gosh.
yeah. And they were like, they felt so bad. But now kind of like, I'm like, yeah, you guys made me laugh so hard. I had a stroke, you know? And they were like, that's like so scary to them. But it's something we laugh about now because I'm like, how crazy is that? That something, you know, like laughing, like that can make your brain do that. But it's because I was healing and your brain can only take so much. But in that moment, I knew that ear, nose, and throat doctor, that's what I needed. My friends making me laugh, that's what I needed. And I just surrounded myself with that energy because I couldn't be that energy for myself yet because I was just in bed. That's all I could do. And I was back to work in about exactly a year. So almost exactly 1 year, I went back to work full time. It was like stuff that doctors are like, wow, like you're a case that like you never really hear of, like you're, you know, you sped up so fast. And you know, I was younger too, so that definitely helped me out a little bit. But I think if I had that mindset of this is not going to get better, I would not have gotten better because I would have just still been in that bed. So something that I like to just preach about a lot is like, don't be a victim of circumstance. Like you are not what happens to you. You are how you react to the things that happen to you. Because we can't control everything that happens to us, but we can control how we look at it and how we react.
This is exactly why I wanted to bring you on. I had no clue about this story. I didn't know your background and was wondering how you were able to do this throughout your whole life. So you positive before, this positive before?
I mean, I was like happy go lucky, right? Like I feel like I've always been kind of bubbly. I owe that to my mother. She always was just known for her very infectious personality. So I think I got a lot of that from her. And I grew up with no money. My parents had no money. We lived off of, you know, my father had Social Security, and that's what we lived off of. And growing up, that was hard because you go to high school, kids aren't nice in high school. Kids start to see, like, oh, you don't live in a nice house, you don't have these things. So, but from a young age, I started to realize, like, who cares and who doesn't care. And the people who didn't care and wanted to be around me and my family were the people I wanted in my circle. Um, but I think, you know, I always was happy, but I don't think I had like that much of a sense as I do now that I'm older of exactly how much the mind controls. It's just so much had to happen to me, I think, for me to realize like I'm controlling, you control your future with your thoughts. And I know that, you know, some might not believe that, but it's a fact. And I mean, I live by that.
Okay,
Um,
so you say it, but how do you actually do it? How do you actually control your mind? Like when you go through hard things and you've started a business, you've been successful in your business and starting a business, it's not easy. There are massive things that you have to go through, and then you've had other life things happen. Like what are actual tactical things that you can do to help you switch your thoughts into, I mean, I've never heard anybody, you're the first person I've ever heard of who said, thank you for making me laugh to give me a stroke to your friends. Like, who says that? You know what I mean? I mean, you can laugh about it now. I'm sure at the moment you were like, knock
yeah.
it off. But what are the tactical things that you can do?
So for me, a big one is writing things down. So you can definitely write down. I know whenever I was working my full-time job and I just started my business, it was really hard for me to juggle that in a personal life. So what I would do every morning, actually back in June, which was my first 5-figure sales month, I every morning before work, I would write down a positive note to myself. And I think we tend to overthink that. I think everybody's like, I don't know what to write to myself. Sometimes just encourage yourself, talk to yourself like you're talking to your friend. So some mornings I would just be like, hey, you're really tired today, but you're going to kill it. You're going to go home and you're going to make sales and you're going to be able to power through this. And I did that every day through the month of June, and I hit $12,000 that month. And that was the first time I have ever done that. And that was part time. Like that was me just part time on my spare time doing it. So, I mean, writing things down definitely help. I just really, you have to learn to block those thoughts out. I have them every day. We all do. I mean, it could be something simple like you're just, right, you were lazy. You want to watch Netflix, but it's like, do I want to, like, I just want to watch Netflix tonight. I did that last night. But I said, hey, no, I'm going to make some sales instead. You just have to learn to tell your mind, like, no, I'm going to do this instead. Or, oh, I don't think I can do this. Well, why can't you do this? Challenge yourself and challenge other people too, because you're going to witness, especially in business, selling online. I think when I told people I was selling online, they thought it was like a little hobby that, like, I'm just going to make $10 here and there. They don't take it seriously. But like, why do you feel like that? Why can't it make $10,000? Like, what's the reason for that? When you start to challenge why you're thinking like that, sometimes you'll see how silly it is. Like, you're like, I don't know why I'm thinking that, because there's no reason. I mean, you've said it yourself. Fear is something that is just there as a safety net. Fear is your safety net. Fear is telling you not to do something because it's something you've never done before. And you have to learn to tell fear, like, I'm going to do it anyway and see what happens.
I'm writing these down. So writing things down, challenge your thoughts, and tell fear you're going to do it anyways.
Yeah. So, I mean, every day, like I said, I'm a human. I'm not a robot. I have feelings. I have thoughts. There are days and times where I'm like, oh, I'm tired. I can't do this. I wanted to quit. I think I even posted in your group a while ago, because that's something else I do. And I think everybody should do this. Go in the group, click on yourself, and look at your old posts, because sometimes you might not think you're going very far. And then you'll be like, wow, I have come so much farther than I ever imagined I would have. And I was talking about how I wanted to quit. And now I'm just so thankful that I didn't do that. And luckily, I do have a great support system. So that's definitely something that I think everybody needs. Because when I do have those seconds where I'm really questioning myself, I have my friends, my significant other, I have family telling me, like, why would you quit? Why would you stop? Like, that's not who you are. So, surrounding yourself and protecting your energy with like-minded people is also really important, I think.
Oh, I totally agree. Everybody's like, Allison, how do you do what you've done? And I'm like, it's because of everybody around me. I don't do this life alone. I don't do this business alone. No way. And I wouldn't even want to. Like, having someone pick you up when you're like, I can't do this anymore. I have to quit. And they're like, no, get up. Let me help you. Let's keep going. And then you're like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. Like, always surround yourself. Okay. So I added that for number 4, reflect on how far you've come. I think that one is so good. So good. We beat ourselves up for seeing that next mountain, that next peak that we're trying to get to, but we don't even look back at the peaks that we've already conquered. So I love that you
that's exactly what I was thinking about today as well. I was like, wow, we become so focused on the end result that we don't think about all the little steps it takes to get yourself to that end result. So give yourself grace and let yourself have that time. It's common, I think. You get on YouTube, right? You get on YouTube and you see, like, for me, I'll watch boutique owners because I have a clothing boutique, and you'll see, I was able to quit my full-time job in 3 months. And you're like, yeah. And then you get your business and you're like, wow, this is really hard.
It's totally different. And they made it sound like flipping on a light switch.
Yeah, exactly. So give yourself grace. Let yourself go through the experience that you need to go through to get to that end result.
Okay. So you have brought this positivity and this gratitude into your business. Do you want to talk about how you sold 9,000 thank you scrunchies?
Yeah.
The backstory, like, how did you think of a scrunchie to tie it to the word thank you and then market it? 9,000, that's a lot of scrunchies.
Yeah, I think I'm honestly probably over like 10,000 now. It's been my best seller. Like, you go to my site and there's like 20 reviews for it. Business owners love it. Nurses, I mean, with coronavirus, they were pretty popular because they would buy it for staff and they would pass it out. I just gave them as free gifts with my packages. So then I was like, maybe people will buy these. And they did. And I was like, wow. So other business owners, because I do that too. Sometimes I'll be on like a Facebook group and I'll be like, I just want something small to put in my package and maybe I don't feel like making it. So I was like, okay, let me just see. And it was so funny because I remember telling my boyfriend back when I was doing it, I was like, hey, I'm going to try to sell these. And he was like, okay. And I think the first night I made like $700 and he was like, okay.
His okay tone totally went different.
Yeah.
From
Yeah.
sarcastic to positivity, like real quick on that one.
Yeah.
So you put them in as gifts, like a thank you gift for buying the product, and then you started selling them on their own. Like, how did you market that? And then can I ask what you sell them for?
Yeah. So this is so funny. I think sometimes we think that bigger is better, right? Like we think I need this $2,000 item to sell, right? I was selling them for 80 cents and I've made over, you know, 5 figures with 80-cent scrunchies. And sometimes even now I'll do sales because I have other scrunchies now that I'll just sell by themselves. And, I'll do 60 cents or something, but I don't hand make these. So I would like to point that out. If you're somebody that hand makes your scrunchies, that's time. But for me, I don't do that. So I was like, let me just put it here. I marketed them on Facebook and I also ran them on Brad's Deals. I was like, hey, maybe Brad's will want to post these. So I basically just, submitted the deal and then I marked up the price for the deal, but like to include the shipping on it. So they'd be able to like have it like all in one. There's different ways. If you have little accessories, you can put them together. You don't have to sell them, individually. You can create something really cute. I'm actually, and Tanya helped me with this actually. I was battling myself about it over the phone. I was trying to sell more scrunchies for the holidays, but I wasn't sure what to do. And my best friend was like, hey, they make like little craft snow globes and ornaments. And she was like, maybe you could do like a scrunchy ornament. And I was like, yeah, but for some reason I would not buy like the stuff to make it. And Tanya was finally like, why? Like, why are you not making these? So that's my project this week, actually. So there's different little ways you can, go about taking those little things and making them special. Girls love scrunchies. I wear scrunchies. My friends wear scrunchies. Little girls love scrunchies. Like they'll always
So
sell.
great. Okay, so I'm gonna ask you a question. Do you have margin on an 80-cent product?
Yeah. So with that, because here's what I originally used to do. In the very beginning, I would buy them in bulk off of Amazon. So you can get like a pack of scrunchies. It was like 80 scrunchies for $5 or whatever the case may be. And I would just do the math off of that. Like, divide each one and be like, okay, but then I'm selling them 80 cents a piece. But then I found a manufacturer now overseas. So I get them for even less. And I typically do like a larger order, I'll include jewelry or whatever. And then they come out to like sometimes like 2 cents a piece, depending on what I'm actually ordering or how big my order is.
Okay, so you are featured on Jane and Brad Stills for scrunchies. And the world's been selling scrunchies for how many years? Like centuries.
Well, it was Brad. So I was featured on Brad.
Brad's.
Yeah. I haven't been on Jane yet, but honestly, because I only applied once and they denied me, but I'm going to reapply. I've just been I am redoing my website right now. So that's something else I would like to point out to anybody that's listening. Like my website is C plus and it's been C plus since the beginning. It is not, you go to my website, it's not this glorious professional website. And I have still made over 5 figures on it. So you do not need, a crazy website. But for me, because I am part of Next Level right now, I was watching the video where Megan was talking about, when you're looking at Jane, look at it from the perspective of maybe make it to match their theme a little bit and go with their customers a little bit. So I actually got a professional photo booth. So I'm about to redo all of my photography and then I'm going to reapply and hopefully we'll see.
Nice. I love the messaging behind it though. I think that's actually going to be the selling point that gets you in is the thank you and how you're adding that positive note to it. Like who sells thank you scrunchies? You do. That's who you are. Like you can't not do something grateful in your brand. And I think that is just what sets it so apart. Okay. So the name of your site is, do you want to talk about
Happy? That? Yeah. So my site is Happy Lily Boutique. Actually, I came up with the name because, my mother passed away in 2019.
I'm so sorry.
Oh, thank you. But one thing about my mom, so when I decided to, make my own business, I didn't stay stuck on the name very long because my mom's favorite flower was the lily flower, and she
Mhm.
was always happy. So I was like, okay, happy Lily. So that's where that came from. But yeah, so it's just happylilyboutique.com. And then of course I do have Instagram. I'm super active on Facebook. I have my own Facebook group. Right now, Facebook is where I get the majority of my sales, but I've been promoting a little more on Instagram now.
So cool. So cool. Okay. So do you want to talk about this pre-sale that you did while you were at Disney World?
Yeah, yeah, that was crazy. And I actually just had another pre-sale where I did another like 50, like it was like 50 orders. It's crazy. But yeah, so we went to Walt Disney World. And I was kind of planning ahead of it because I was like, what is a way that I can still make money without me being physically there to ship the packages? Because right now I do everything for my business. I haven't hired anybody yet. So I was like, I'm gonna offer a pre-sale through my Facebook group. And then there's also another Facebook group that allows you to do it. It's called a buy-in. And if you look it up, you can just go to Facebook and search buy-in groups. They will basically let you do pre-sales in their groups. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go in my group and offer this pre-sale some items. I already had purchased these though. So these were ones that I already had on the way to me because I was honestly very afraid of doing pre-sales just in case. But I was like, you know what? I have the tracking on these, so I'm gonna do it. And yeah, I sold basically almost everything on that drop was already sold
Wow.
before it even got to my house.
Wow.
Yeah.
That I didn't know those groups existed. So thank you for sharing that. How cool is that?
Yeah.
You could pre-sell, so you're not putting any money out there in and just hoping for sales. So you
Yeah.
sold the scrunchies there. Did you sell any other of your products?
Oh yeah,
Or
I
was it
sell
just
all my
basically
clothing. Clothing. No, like I've been selling a lot of tops. Now it's fall, so a lot of plaid, leopard. Leopard is a bestseller, so I sell a lot of leopard. But yeah, so mostly like these shackets, like plaid shackets. I've been selling those a lot as well because they're what's trending right now. So
Yeah, I've
I just
seen
look
them
for what's
everywhere.
trending.
Yep. Yep. Sell what's selling. That's just the easier way to do it. Easier way to do it. Okay. So will you continue to do these buy-ins? Is
Yeah.
that something that you want to keep doing?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I've been thinking about it just because I might do the small business feature for Brad's. So I'm trying to be a little strategic about what I'm doing, but I'm always going to do it. I have my own group. I've been able to build my group. I'm almost to 900 members. And they're
Nice.
active. Yeah, like they're very active. They like to shop from me. I have girls now that just reach out to me directly. Like they'll be like, I need this and this. Do you think you could find it? So I do that. So a lot of my pre-selling has been to people who have already purchased from me because they trust me. They know I'm going to bring that product to them. So I'm not planning on stopping pre-selling anytime soon. I think I'm probably going to do it for the duration of my business. I'll be doing
I love pre-sales. Like
it.
that's one of my favorite things ever. It's because you get cash in right away to be able to pay for the product and you're not
Yeah.
just wondering. So, so good. Are
Yeah.
you the people in your group, are they more is it customers or is it more businesses that you're selling to?
It's a mixture of both. So I have both because I started out in Facebook groups and a lot of Facebook groups like wholesale. So they'll buy for their own businesses. But I also just have just people that just like to shop for themselves. They're there and they just like to buy. And they like that. There's something about the Facebook group. It's like you can't get them out of the Facebook group. I'm like encouraging them, sign up for this email list, be on my email, but they just like it, I think, because it's so personal. And they're like, I will talk to her and she will respond here. So yeah, there's just some people that prefer that over me sending them an email. My Facebook group started out with like 10 people, and it was people that I know. I was like, hey, can you join my group? It's just personal people, like, and they didn't buy anything. I think I sold to like two of them,
So
but
how
their
are you
support
doing?
was appreciated.
Yeah, right. Thank you for being in there so it doesn't say zero.
Yeah.
So how did you get people in that group? What was your strategy behind that?
So I send emails. So I have Brad's deals. They'll send the traffic to my site. Some emails you can send it like a letter. Like I do that sometimes. Like I'll just be like, hi, did you know we have a Facebook group? And then I'll put it in there so then they know that they can reach me there as well and not just my customer service email. And then there's other groups that do allow you to, advertise your business, but you just have to make sure you read the rules. A lot of those buy-in groups, they let you, like, they're like, you can share your link and that helps you build your group, but you just have to read the rules. Because if you don't read the rules and you do that, you could be kicked out of a group super fast.
Very fast, very, very fast.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for new entrepreneurs who, I know we already went through the 4 things about being positive, but let's say they're just like, I just don't know if business is right for me. I'm debating it. I keep going back and forth. Maybe the keyword quitting is in their head. What do you recommend for them?
You just have to remember your reason why. Why did you start the business in the first place? You had to have some kind of fire within you in the beginning to be like, I'm going to do this. And you have to focus on that. Like you have to remind yourself your reason why, because ultimately that will be your motivator to keep you going. I mean, sometimes, like I said, it's hard. I've been there. I was there. And I would have never been a full-time business owner if I would have quit, like you just have to focus on, well, why did I do this in the first place? What is my reasoning that I even started this? Like, what do I want to accomplish? And when you figure that out, that's when you set your ground for yourself. What are the steps I need to take to get me there? Because it's not just, I want it, I got it. You have to make a plan for yourself to be able to follow that. And I mean, honestly, that's why I love the 0 to 100K. I brag about it all the time because I'm like, this changed my life because I needed that structure of, well, how do I get there? I'm watching YouTube. I see these people, but they're not telling me how do I do it. And you have to go through those steps. And I don't know. I feel like if you ask anybody in that group, I don't think you'll see one say that they haven't. You're always going to have that thought about, I'm freaking out. Why am I doing this?
Yeah.
But we all also have a reason why, whether it be for your family, maybe it's yourself, or maybe you just want extra cash. You just want to be able to, afford to go out to dinner more than, once in a blue moon. Whatever your reason is, that's what you need to focus on.
So can I ask you what your why is? Why you started a business?
Yes. So for me, I've always honestly, even when I was young, like 18, my dad used to sell on eBay, and it's always just kind of been in my family where I'm like, oh, okay, resell, So even when I turned 18, I went straight to work and I started to do Poshmark, eBay, Mercari. I would just resell clothes. And back then it was just side money, but I really enjoyed doing it. I just enjoyed it. And then once I had my brain injury, I went into corporate. I thought for sure corporate was going to be what I was going to do because I know in my heart I'm a leader. I led a team. I can do it. I love to motivate other people. But then it's like the higher up I got, the more I was like, this is not the life that I want to be living right now. I knew that I wanted freedom. My dad lives in another state. I want to be able to go see him whenever I want to go see him. I'm not a morning person. Maybe I want to sleep in on a Wednesday. I can do that now if I choose to do it. My mom always was very strong about following your heart and following your dreams. And all I could think to myself was, my mom would have wanted me to do this. And she would want me to get my story out there, help other people. And I think, there's just so much for me as many entrepreneurs, right? Like we're always like squirrel. There's so much we want to do, so much we want to accomplish. But I think just being able to motivate somebody else really brings me joy. And I like to do that. And with my packages, I love getting reviews. And you might not think about it, right? I sell clothing. I've had women reach out to me about like even like little things like, oh, this bralette and this, I had a lady that had cancer and she was like, I can only wear like one type, little things like that. Like you're bringing joy to somebody else and you're affecting somebody else. And you might not think that at the time because you're like, it's just clothing, but like no, you're really helping other people, or maybe you're just making them feel beautiful in a comfortable piece, like I just love doing it. So that's why.
So will you tell everybody how much you've grown?
Yes. So I have gotten my shop to $85,000 right now in sales.
Woo-hoo.
And just for some perspective about, how things can change and pick up, I hit my first 50,000 in June. So that was officially right before my 1 year. I've made the $30,000 in just a few months. So just for perspective, like it can change. And the more you put it into your business, that's how fast it's going to grow for you. And I'm projecting to hit my 100K hopefully by Christmas. So very excited about that. And it's definitely, 3 months, $30,000 basically. Like you can really do anything
So
when you put that time in.
is that changing your life?
Yeah, honestly, I was bad about it in the beginning. I wasn't paying myself at all. But I was still employed at that time. So I was like, okay, I'll just put it all back to the business to let it grow. But yeah, I was like, your voice was in my head, like, we don't work for pennies. So I was like, okay, it's time to start paying myself. But yeah, it's definitely changed my life so much already. And I'm really excited for the future because I know like it's just gonna keep getting better. So
Do you
definitely
still
excited.
work? Do you do this?
No.
This is your full time?
Yes, I left my job at the end of September. And then my first month, which by the way was the month I was at Walt Disney World. I went to Disney, I spent time with friends, I did a lot just to catch up. I made over $11,000 that month, even though I was still going out living life. So
So cool. So cool. And it is like, it's a momentum thing, right? Like you start pushing that big boulder and it just feels so hard and it's just tough. And maybe you're sore and you're exhausted from doing it. But then when it gets going, it just rolls and you can take off like you did. And that ball's still rolling. And you just proved that. So fun. Thank you for sharing all those little details. I think that is so inspirational. You're a rock star. Like,
thank you.
seriously.
Thank you.
So good. So good. Okay. So now the next thing, I've heard that you may have a discount code for everybody for your products so they can go experience the positivity in online shopping. Do you want to give that out?
Yes. Okay. So my code is CANSPAM25 and it'll be for 25% off of any purchase that you do on Happy Lily.
So good. So good. That was phenomenal. Like you gave such great tactical advice and ways to help us when we're down and that dang keyword that keeps popping in all entrepreneurs' head, such a normal thing, how to push it aside and how to keep going forward. I'm so grateful for you and all of the love and positivity that you share in our group. I know it's the ripple effect and it's impacted a lot of people in the group. And so thank you for letting them feel it. And now all the listeners get to feel that positivity as well. So thank you, Trinity. You're amazing.
Thank you. Love being here. Thank you so much.
How inspiring is Trinity? I feel like I could go out and take on the world after talking with her. And you know what? The world actually does need a lot more positivity right now. I hope we can all take a piece from what Trinity shared to reflect on our own lives. Because wow, just wow. So here are my top 10 takeaways with a conversation with Trinity. Number 1, you control your future with your thoughts. Number 2, reject the safety net of fear. Number 3, choose the people in your circle. Number 4, it's how you react to the things that happen to you that matters. Number 5, write positive notes and affirmations to yourself. I loved that one. Number 6, challenge yourself and others. Number 7, reflect on just how far you've come. Number 8, remember your why. Number 9, make a plan to guide you towards your goal. And number 10, as always, follow your dreams. I hope you love that podcast episode just as much as I did and got just that, oh my gosh, feeling when you've heard what she's done. And she just updated me. And now she's crossed over 11,000 scrunchies that were sold. Anyway, go out there, live your because I can life, and I'll see you next week. Bye.